This video's free upload was not done with the approval of any party depicted or mentioned via audio or video. The original video is posted at www.vimeo.com/1084401878 under the public domain dedication license. This license is a public dedication tool which allows creators to give up their copyright and put their works into the worldwide public domain. It allows individuals to distribute, remix, adapt, and build upon the material any medium or format with no conditions.
Ian Rush, the football legend, Liverpool's all-time leading goal scorer. A man who lit up stadiums around the world. But this isn't a story about football. This is a story about what happens after the final whistle, about how fame doesn't shield you from injustice, about the courtroom battles, betrayal in business, defamation in the press, and a justice system some say is stacked against the very people it claims to serve. This is not fiction. Every scene you're about to hear is based on real events, real documents, real names, but we're telling it differently through music, rhythm, and theater. This is the untold story of Ian Rush, his rush for justice. We begin not in a boardroom, but in a courtroom where the truth rises above tactics. Two directors, accused of dodging debts and disrupting a once promising football business, face what they've long avoided. Their lawyers stand by them, but behind the suits and strategies lies a firm court decision. This is where Ian Rush's business dreams started to unravel. Not on the pitch, but in the shadows of the legal arena.
Mr. Justice Coulson had strong words to say about correspondence and conduct which he held were simply attempts to avoid a debt that was lawfully due. All of these events were part of an attempt to avoid this debt. I regard them as a completely bogus series of events endeavoring to prevent the debt being paid. This is a classic example of two directors endeavoring to use Victorian company legislation to avoid paying a due debt. The two directors were Crewe and Endersby. On 18th August, the solicitors, Keystone Law, who had acted for us, Strasser, said your client faces the following one: mediate in the next 7 days and stand some prospect of securing some payment too. If not, our client will enter an insolvency process prior to the hearing, and your client will then face a claim from the insolvency petitioner in respect of defects to the pitch. You will get nothing then, goodbye. That was breathtakingly rude and was plainly part of the intention to misuse the insolvency proceedings. The defendant company then embarked various measures to restructure themselves, again in the hope of avoiding paying this legitimate debt. Accordingly, on the face of all that, this is a classic example of two directors endeavoring to use Victorian company legislation to avoid paying a due debt. That of itself is regrettably not unusual. What is unusual here, in my judgment, is the connivance of Keystone Law.
The court made its ruling. Liquidation. The two directors had run out of road and out of excuses. Their football ground, once a symbol of promise, was now up for sale. Irama, backed by Ian Rush, stepped in lawfully and publicly through an official Seville's property auction. This was a chance to rebuild something good for the community.
Could it be the shutout from their legacy? Could it be the shutout from their legacy? Two men, two ghosts, two unpaid debts. Now pacing the ground they try to forget. There they are, Coolteed and Endersby, outside the gates of White Leaf. No victory, that bold Seville sign, don't lie. For sale by auction, no alibi. They're checking their phones, eyes full of dread, glancing sideways like they know what's ahead. Years of delay, liquidation pain, creditors circling like thunder and rain. The judge gave the order, let it be sold, to settle the debts and the lies told. Civils got the job, auction day set. Jeremy Lamb sets the floor, 390,000, no sweat. But on the eve it jumps the night before the auction to 490,000. Wait! Say that again.
So they raised the reserve? Let them, just buy it.
But I had to ask, had to clear the air. This deal had shadows hanging everywhere. So I emailed Jeremy, asked him straight.
When? Why?
Who set this fate?
Hyperion. No, the interest was yesterday. We had an offer prior. Kind regards.
Jeremy. Kind regards, Jeremy.
So I wrote back, firm but fair.
Jeremy, I need to know what happened there. Help satisfy me, just show there's no wrong by civils or the ones who played dirty all along. No reply, no sound, no truth to be found. Forget the drama, forget the noise. We came for justice, not petty ploys. They ran this club to the ground, left a mess. Now it's ours to clean, not theirs to possess. So we did it, no backing down, no fear, no doubt. Auctioneer called, voices shout. The price climbed quick, tension was tight. Then came the hammer. I hear more, a hand shoots up, Perry stands at the core. 495,000. Gavel crashes, the room goes still, sold to the ones with the iron will. Now we own it, the ground, the name. Coonenders by, lost the game. 495,000 was the final sound. And the past, we buried it in that ground.
495,000 pounds. Now the club has new owners, and their chapter is closed.
With the ground now legally purchased, Arama and Ian Rush set out to invest in football, in youth, in the community. But almost immediately, resistance returned. The same directors who lost the ground refused to pay rent due by their company. This time, they had a powerful ally, the law firm Irwin Mitchell. Armed with legal muscle, they launched a new campaign not in fairness, but in defiance. A battle was brewing, one that would test the limits of justice and those who claimed to protect it.
A courtroom jam in the key of contradiction.
Yo, step in the court, it's deja vu. Irwin Mitchell crew, what you trying to do? Lease in your pocket, you're ride or die proof. But now you turn around and say it's not true.
Not true. The least they love,
Now they show,
the shield they raise.
now they betray. Kunal Gadvi, Alice Court in frame, throwing shade at the lease. Ain't that a shame? Their own clients drew this lease in the first place. Used it in business, in court, in every case.
Built their whole house on that legal stone. Signed it, waved it, claimed it their own.
It was gospel, now it's a ghost.
They praise the bread, but burn the toast. Biting the hand, fed you for years, now you can't stand.
Justice Kilson raised his brow, said no, you can't play dumb now, the law won't go. If you rely, then you can't recant. That's estoppel, folks, and you shan't.
Estoppel by conduct, that's the name. You played the least, you can't change the game. You held it high, it was your claim. Now you deny it, that's pure shame. And maybe, just maybe, Hugh Meow felt the quake, reading what they asked him to stake. Did his pen pause? Did his conscience speak? Was the truth too loud to keep it meek? Maybe he knew it. Maybe he knew it. They turned their blade on the lease they forged. A legal twist, hypocrisy gorged. But the court don't play in a house of lies. Justice Coulson cuts through the disguise. You can't run from what you used to preach. You can't bury your own signed lease. You can't fake truth when it's etched in time. Estoppel hits in perfect rhyme. Mitchell should have known it's wrong. Now the lease sings, and we sing long.
A reporter from The Athletic, owned by the New York Times, requested a Zoom call. The topic? Football clubs using the grounds now owned by Arama and Ian Rush, and why some were being asked to leave. But this wasn't about eviction. It was about truth. On that call, Arama and Ian Rush told the truth with all the facts in hand. What happened next would show just how easily facts can be ignored and reputations rewritten.
Laura Williamson, Carol Unsauber, reporters, trustee, polite. Rush bought a club in Surrey. Why? Who's paying the rent? What's the real story? Who's got the lease? Who's got the truth? Print it fast, don't wait for proof.
This didn't come from clubs or from a fan tip line. It started with a headline.
Rush is buying White, leave fine.
We thought great story, but soon it shifted to leases and scaffolds. Now the mood is lifted.
Conflicted, restricted. We came to you for facts, but all we got was silence and legal no comment acts.
Hold up, rewind, check your facts, reset the scene. We never hid a thing, we just kept the place clean. We bought the land, fixed the leaks in the roof. Now they spin lies while we show the proof. They owe us rent, 3 years, no pay. Scaffold man, coot, he won't go away. Trusty tenant, scaffolder too. He's playing Monopoly with kids' revenue.
Monopoly with kids' revenue.
The foundation transparent, no salaries, no fees. Just kids off the streets with a chance to believe. Mental health groups, football dreams alive. We're building futures, not just trying to survive. But your questions came sharp like we're dodging blame. You asked about rent, not what we aim to change.
This ain't the 60s, we're changing the game. We're here for the kids, not chasing the fame.
So why's your story missing the flame? You've got a platform, now use it with aim.
You never asked what good we do. You never asked what good they do.
You printed half the truth, but none of the view. They're fighting for football and the youth too.
So tell the real story, not just the noise. Don't bury the truth with the trusty boys. Scandal sells, but hope survives. We're building futures, we're saving lives. I'm hearing you now, I get it, okay. You're not landlords chasing kids away. You're building clubs, not corporate deals. All right, let's print what's real.
We're not here to shout, we're here to restore White Leaf's legacy and so much more. A Bingdon brick house from north to south. We're giving young talent a voice around. And Ian Rush, he's not just a name. He's giving back without chasing fame.
We got players, plans, and purpose in hand, so please don't misunderstand. They tell the real story loud and clear. Not what they whisper, but what's sincere. From peeling walls to dreams rebuilt, we're scrubbing shame, not laying guilt. It's grassroots rise and passion ignites. Let the kids play under fair floodlights. Tell the real story, print the light.
Then it dropped. The article, published by The Athletic for millions to read, ignoring all the truth shared just days earlier on that Zoom call. To Ian Rush, it wasn't just a misrepresentation. It was a character assassination. To Arama, it was a direct hit to their integrity, their business, and their mission to help kids with mental health and rebuild grassroots football. The truth had been told, but what made headlines was something else entirely.
The words we read online, republished, reposted, repeated, the spark was struck and then it spread. Reactions soared, emotions fed, engagement rose, subscriptions climbed. Was it just a headline or something designed? This wasn't built on balanced ground, no full context to be found. What got lost, a lot left aside. They didn't mention safety works, mental health support that lurks behind the scenes away from fame. That part never made the frame. Didn't share the rent support Ian gave when times ran short. Instead, a quote from someone late on 75 grand in unpaid rent. He spoke and then came all the blame. Hang his head in shame. Shame on Rush. Greedy. Vultures. Disgusting crash. Kill the club, some comments cried. No room for money men inside. Singapore firm, they wrote in thread. Who let this happen, we all said. Labels stuck like super glue, but did those words reflect what's true? Did they want clarity or just a name to cast a role, assign the blame? Carol turns, her voice composed. Let's pause and think what's being imposed. Singapore company, that was the phrase. But in 2021, the world was in a daze. Post-COVID fears, attacks, division, anti-Asian crimes on a grim, sharp mission. No correction, no reply. The coverage passed the fury high and left behind a scorched domain, where Ian and Arama bore the strain. Face off flames, face the flames. They stood silent, we faced the flames.
Among the faces on that Zoom call was someone Ian Rush once called a friend, James Pearce. Formerly of the Liverpool Echo, now with The Athletic, a journalist Ian had trusted, confided in, and welcomed into his inner circle of football. But that day, Pearce said nothing. No challenge to the twisting of facts. No defense of a man he'd known for years. Just silence. And that silence cut deep. One that shook Ian's faith in the people and platforms he thought were there to tell the truth.
James, you were my friend. James Pearce, back then. It didn't have to end. Liverpool Echo, then The Athletic, big ascent. But where were you when the article went? You knew me. You knew I feared the court. You knew I never had the tools to retort. So tell me, why'd you say nothing in that Zoom while they lit the match and watched it consume? Was it shame? Was it fear of your name? Was it easier to stay out the flame? But silence, James, that silence became a sentence I'm still serving in pain. You were my friend, I trusted you. You knew I was innocent, you knew it was true. I fought for years in court just to bring light, not just for me, but for every player with no will to fight. And you did nothing. You were supposed to protect me, not let The Athletic dissect me. A headline, a hit, a clickbait descent. The Royal Mint pulled out that deal heaven sent. Gone, a once-in-a-lifetime chance just gone, and I was left to answer. Live on Sky News, staring down a lens with nothing to lose. They asked me about your article, I said nothing cruel, but weeks went by, I wasn't well, and still you played it cool. James, you were more than a journalist. You were a Liverpool man, but now you fight for subscribers. Ian Rush, I fight for footballers. I fight for the truth. I fight for the kid who still plays on the roof. I fight in the courts and the court of the crowd, and I'll shout it from rooftops. I'll shout it loud. You watched what it did to me. You knew story cost, and still you let them stain me. You knew what would be lost. Ian Rush sings, but now I'm stronger, I don't need your name. You woke me up, now I fight without shame. Old cases I'll open, the silence I'll break. For the truth, for the game, I will raise the stakes. If I stand alone, so be it, but I won't be still. Not like you were, not when they aim to kill. And James, let me say this without disguise. Online hate is a crime, and anyone who lets it rise, even in courtrooms or with law degrees, should face the same punishment for spreading disease. You were my friend, but that's past tense. Now I fight for justice in every present.
The cameras turned on. It was Sky News. A live broadcast. Ian Rush was blindsided and asked on air about clubs having problems with the very grounds he and Irama had lawfully purchased. There was no warning. No context, just headlines twisted. And for Ian, a man who built his legacy on integrity and community, it was devastating. After the cameras stopped rolling, the toll became clear. This wasn't just media pressure, it was a mental health blow. One he would quietly carry long after the broadcast faded.
To touch if it's okay with you. Stories making rounds, it's true. Why leave Abingdon Town withdrew from league, said they were shut down. Couldn't agree lease terms with the company linked to your name. Is that a fair claim? What do you say? Well, first of all, I'm a great admirer of grassroots, where I lit my own fire. That's where I came from. I'll never forget every goal, every net, every pitch still wet. From my point of view, the legal team's on the case, but I'll look you straight in the face. The truth will come out. Say it then. The truth will come out. Because I'm a massive admirer of grassroots football. I will not let these clubs fall. The truth will come out. We did nothing wrong, nothing shameful. We gave time, gave help, tried to be graceful. We saved those grounds, got them open again. Kept the kids kicking balls with their friends.
She's right, we didn't hide, we didn't run. We did what was right, and they call that a con.
For me, Ian's trust was enough. We drew a line, now it's getting rough. They tried to spin it, they twisted the frame, but they won't win if they play this game.
We gave Andy Thompson the truth, a legal document signed and proved.
So why Sky silent, why no reply? Why they let that question fly?
This isn't a scandal,
It's a stitch up.
and now the fight begins. Oh, we stand for the clubs, for the fans, for the ground, for the kids who need a pitch in their hometown. You think a legend won't push back? Guess again. The truth's on our side now, count us in.
One thing I'll promise, the truth will come out. The truth will come. The truth will come out.
Despite the media storm, Irama and Ian Rush pressed on, focusing on building, not breaking, and then came Melwood, the iconic former training ground of Liverpool FC, a site rich with history and possibility. Irama put in a serious bid, not for profit, but to create a legacy, a space for young players, community programs, and a home that echoed Ian's past while shaping football's future. It was more than business. It was personal and a chance to give back to the club and the city that had given him everything.
Now here's a tale from Merseyside, surreal but sadly true, of legends draped in scarlet red, whose boots once split the blue. Fowler, Carragher, icons both, with Rushy through and through, were asked to send a video clip, just something mates would do. Hey, go on, lad! They hit record for charity or thanks. For Urama, for the kids, no scandal in the ranks. They smiled and sent their well-wishing, then whoosh, the gears were cranked, because a ghost in media's wires had flipped it on its flanks. But they never called old Rushy back, no mate to mate hello. Just vanished from the WhatsApp thread like Gerrard missed a throw. They yanked the vids, they warned the rest, don't trust that name you know. Yet never asked the man himself, just silence, curtain, woe. Meanwhile, down at Melwood, the old red turf still gleamed. Rush and Urama dropped a bid, fair, top tier they dreamed. But lo, a whisper hit the press, an echo from the peers who once wrote for Liverpool Echo. Now silence, calm but fierce. The news said someone else was inappropriate. That line was loud and clear. Yet nothing proven, nothing judged, just headlines filled with fear. And boom, the Gerrard Academy lost its bid like that. Urama next, Melwood locked the door, slammed shut, that's flat. But here's the plot twist, classic twist, it wouldn't win an Emmy, cause Pierce then dropped a happy note. Melwood goes to Jamie, and Robbie too, our lads are back. Oh, what a lovely telly, no mention of their old friend's bid, just praise and raspberry jelly. They warned off Owen Henry too, but called not once to say, Rushy mate, what's going on? Just drifted far away. What swayed them more than decades shared, then stories, jokes and play. A headline, a whisper, a Pierce approved delay. Loyalty's a fading coin in clubs where fame has ruled, where mates turn ghost with just one tweet and trust is overruled. So ask yourself what mattered more, the truth, the man, the core, or keeping quiet, looking clean and missing out on all. I never got a phone call, no chance to say my side, just judged by noise and silence while Melwood waved goodbye.
Then came the quiet consequences, the ones that don't make headlines, but changed lives. Behind closed doors, conversations shifted. Partnerships faded. Ian Rush had been lined up for a once-in-a-lifetime project with the Royal Mint, a tribute collection by the FA. Talks were advanced. The vision was real. Until the article. Suddenly, the doors closed. No explanation, just silence. And with it, the FA followed suit. Two national institutions distancing themselves from one of football's most respected figures, all because of a false narrative, left unchallenged.
A moment like this, you only get once, to work with a Royal Mint collection. A lifetime's work gone. I gave them my boots, I gave them my name, bled for the badge, lived for the game. From Anfield's roar to the FA Cup, every year I kept showing up. They asked for legends, I thought I was one, a dream to be part of 150 and done. But then came the words, not face to face, just a message that tore through time and place.
A message that tore through time and place.
She wrote, further to our meeting, we did not get to the stage of exploring dates with you. Just turned the page. The FA has confirmed that they don't see that Ian Rush is a good fit, not for this piece, due to his involvement in the purchasing of grassroots clubs.
Not a good fit.
They didn't ask why, didn't ask how, didn't care what we built or what we do now. No tribute, no medal, no legacy lit, just Gemma's words. It's not something the Royal Mint will be progressing with.
Not something they'll be progressing with.
They closed the door with perfect grace. One letter and I lost my place. After everything, after the Queen, after the game, the goals, the dream. Thanks, Gemma, from Ian Rush, MB.
The damage didn't stop with one article. It spread, republished, reposted, repeated, across blogs, forums, and social media. Each echo of the false story added weight, pressure, and pain. Ian Rush became a target, so did Arama. And behind them, their families so afraid, unprepared and caught in the crossfire, blamed for actions they didn't take, hated for decisions they didn't make. This wasn't just reputational damage. It was personal devastation. And still, no one came forward to correct the record.
You didn't ask us. You didn't listen. You told the story without checking the facts and the people who got hurt. We still carry that.
They lit it up with a headline drop. Truth took a hit and the facts got cropped. James Cave, you ran that piece, but skipped the context, skipped the piece. Targeted us, but never once explained what role others played when the club was strained. No mention of Coot, Enders, Vice part, just silence where there should have been heart. This is the ink that burned the name, that shaped a storm, then passed the blame. They told a tale with half the page and left a legacy locked in rage. Andy Walsh, you said you'd share a follow-up piece handled with care, but no request for a counter view. Just worry from fans, not what we knew. You never asked how it came to this, just printed shadows and called it insights. Oh, and was it you who spoke with Tracy Crouch MP? Ollie Chamberlain, click and post. The platform's yours, you were the host. Gave those words a viral start, but left out balance, left out heart. A trusted site with a reach so wide, but still no space for a side. My name stood for something in this game, then it vanished beneath a wave of shame. Doors closed, hands pulled away from one article on a single day. We shared letters, facts in hand, from the trustees who understand. Irama didn't push them out, they wrote, but no one printed that quote. We asked for fairness, we asked for truth. What we got, just silence uncouth. Nick Robinson, chair of the league, let Ian Townsend report intrigue. The White Leaf Post still online with no update, no redefined. We watched it fuel assumptions deep while you stayed quiet, not a peep. And Martin Calladine, ugly game, quick to comment, slow to name the facts that matter, the threads untied. The wider truth you cast aside. We reached to build, not divide, but felt the cold when you replied. This is the ink that shaped our fall, that echoed loud through every hole, from London grounds to Singapore and the USA. A name like Rush shut out the door, but from the silence we find the page. We write anew, we turn the stage and tell the story they left unheard, with every note, with every word. And now we're here reclaiming the story. This is what the readers of the publishers and republishers called us. The hurt only we know. Real shame, hang his head in shame. Appalling Grady, awful crime, shame. Devastating, gutted shame on Rush, hang his name in shame. Disgusting Rush, crony, shambles. Terrible news, awful Isid strip, publicly shame. QNTSI and thrush, shit thrush, shitty apple tisted. Bloody hell, whacked out football history, flee a pit. Where are football clubs? Terrific clubs, don't give a shit, shame. It's a disgrace, shameful, despicable crooks, disgrace. Disrupt, guided bastards, little prick, shark smells. Absolutely disgraceful using frontman scheming. Can't fuck right off, load of bollocks. Mayor sponsoring Rush, player endorsements, DLD charkers, trickful gun his car, base jinx, magic, spincher leaders, Harris like smells, gift ears that are bastards, putting club out of business, vastly overseas millionaires and billionaires, ranks and ceiling for finding malarkey of escape down to Irama, money man, shenanigans, radically sad, up and testing vultures, sad loss, very sad, it stinks, Omaha, prison, screwing, WFC, absorb contest, heartbreaking, asset strun, publicly shamed, earning thrift, very messy, stinks, range and sewer, who the fuck are Irama? How fuck allowed to do this? Capitalists, all clubs and ricks, lock the doors and windows whenever possible to keep them out. Ownership falling into the wrong hands. Vultures like Irama, be very wary, makes my blood boil. Shark, behave for grim, very grim. John Salako draw me to making video for Irama. Very suspicious, money let undering, unpalatable, greedy practices, gangsters in play, desperately sad, trim for perpetuity, developers, strips, community, make their life difficult, warning sign, guarded warning, acid streak, disgusting, terrible, shame, even Jamie Carragher has distant from Irama, Fowler, distancing from Irama, suspicious, investigation, duty, fraudsters, fuck all Stanley, gobbling, shady, spetulobus and parasites, greed, land, grab, prepare for troubles, sobering a reed, smells like a wet corn.
Dubious and more.
Just when the noise seemed to peak, a new blow landed from Parliament itself. A government report, led by MP Tracy Crouch, singled out Irama. Without warning and without inquiry, and without ever speaking to Ian Rush or the company directly. Behind the scenes, the source may have been Andy Walsh, a man who had republished the story and knew the facts. They painted Irama as a foreign threat, not a football partner. A company to be watched, not welcomed. For Ian and Irama, it was more than damaging. It was devastating to be judged not by truth, and to find themselves written into a national report without a single word in their defense.
It's Talon.
In July 2021, Tracy Crouch made a statement, a member of parliament. Leading the fan-led review of football, she pointed to Whiteleaf and Abingdon Town. That victims of a foreign developer, that's what the report said. Irama Sport named in a line, Singapore-based labeled as the villain.
But the truth was the opposite. Irama wasn't the cause, but the scapegoat.
One sentence, years of investment swept aside, partnerships gone, reputations ruined. No phone call, no hearing, no voice for Ian Rush. No fairness, just foreign developer. That label triggered a torrent, online hate, social media abuse, business losses, mental health shattered, families hurt. Emails to Tracy Crouch when unanswered, please ignore. Irama wasn't just excluded, it was ousted. A British MP in an official report called out a Singapore company and closed the door. A door slammed shut, collaboration lost, the message was clear. You're not welcome here.
In 2023, the trustees of Whiteleaf FC signed a sworn statement.
They cleared Irama, they cleared Perry, they cleared Ian Rush. Bad, the club folded from internal financial collapse, not because of Irama.
Irama came to build community-based academies in the UK, but that one line was a fatal blow.
Bad and Andy Walsh listed in Annex C, contributor to the review. Page Lord Dream 6 government document, name submitted as evidence. Bad, a lifetime of hurt from a single line. No call, no truth, just blame in design.
When a company falls, the law steps in, and liquidators are appointed, not by choice, but by court order. They carry the court's authority, and their job is to find the truth protect creditors, and bring closure. This next song is called Liquidation and Insolvency Respect. It's about what should have happened. About how legal professionals, above all, owe respect not to power or client but to the process itself. Because when the law starts fighting itself, who's left to protect the truth?
All statements are verifiably sourced from formal letters to avoid any defamation.
Why fight the facts? Why bend the code when Heron Fisher's findings are clearly showed in filings, in letters, in Companies House? You claim it's a battle? This isn't a joust. I saw the books, I saw the lease, I saw directors fighting for their peace. From Coote and Enders by to scaffolding claims, this company bled under phantom gains.
No such agreement, that's what we wrote in letters dated with every note. Not at the meeting, not at any time, just creditors left to mop the grime.
No such agreement was made. And in any event, your client was not present at the time. But wait a second, are we just to yield? We heard there's a balance left unrevealed. There were talks, perhaps a verbal deal,
Though Foremark wasn't in that meeting field. Yes, the liquidator has his proof and pen, but we represent our client till the bitter end. Still you failed to provide copies, they said. Could it be our case walks dead?
you have failed to provide a copy of the correspondence. We request the written exchanges.
What if we're wrong? What if they're right? What if these letters end our fight? They reviewed notes from that meeting date, no records to support the scaffold fate.
We have reviewed notes, and there is no reference to any such agreement. And all through the filings it's stated plain, Foremark's claim lacks the paper chain.
Rule 14.4 lets me call your bluff.
When the claim's not backed, I say enough. You send no ledgers, no legal receipt, just echoes of deals that don't compete.
Unless you provide sufficient documentation, the liquidators will have no option but to assume the claim cannot be verified.
I work for creditors, I stand for the lost. Your client's tale, it's too high a cost. 3 years they watched, 3 years they filed, each report cross-checked, never reviled. Companies, households, each line they wrote. Yet Alice and Kunal still missed the note.
We trained for truth in insolvency law, yet now we're called to answer more. We question reports filed under oath, but maybe our loyalty stretched us both.
The progress reports detail all of the applications made, filed at Companies House. So why did we fight the man with the file? Did we forget justice walks the extra mile? Why fight the liquidator when the filings stand? Why doubt the facts from a steady hand when rent was due and the scaffold not signed? Let justice ring and leave myths behind.
At some point, it stopped feeling like justice, and the truth didn't matter. What mattered was time and how much of it could be billed. For Arama, it became clear the longer the case dragged on, the better it was for Irwin Mitchell's bottom line. But they weren't alone in this suspicion. On a global site called Glassdoor, past and present employees of Irwin Mitchell had already spoken candidly. This next scene turns their own words into a chorus of voices.
Stillable, bibbable, billable, clock in breakdown, billings unforgivable. Targets rise, morals fall in this miracle of billing the billable, billable, billable.
Yo, I walked in with a mission, head held high. Said I'd fight for justice, not just watch time fly. But the billing pressure hit like a train on tracks. Meet targets or else
They don't cut no slack.
relentless focus on billable hours. That's the whisper in the hallway, that's the shadow in the tower. Colleagues burnt out, every minute counts. Forget your soul, just hit the right amount.
Toxic targets, no compassion. More like robots than with passion. Junior staff disposable, always under pressure.
No support from management, that's what I heard. They preach well-being, but don't act on their word. No room to breathe, no time to rest. Working through lunch, forget what's treated like machines to meet unrealistic goals. This place drains you, devours your soul.
If you're not billing, you're invisible, they don't care.
Mental health ain't profit, so it's just hot air.
Unachievable targets. Billable dreams turn to nightmares.
Overworked, undervalued, forgotten.
Told to smile while we're rotten.
Toxic billing targets have left many broken.
Most people here are lovely, but that's left unspoken.
It's the system that's bruising, it's the pressure that cuts.
One misstep and they'll say you're just not keeping up.
We're billable, breakable. Why we gotta chase numbers so unshakable? People crack, but targets stay unbreakable. In this firm where the line is unmistakable, you're only worth what you build.
No space to be still.
Toxic culture, bitter pill.
We're with Mitchell, are you listening still? I don't doubt the good in many colleagues here.
But a system built on fear can't claim to care.
It's time to fix what's broken, face what's real.
Let justice start with how your staff feels.
This next scene is not easy to hear. It's not about legal arguments or business losses. It's about a human being, a solicitor working inside Irwin Mitchell, who, under relentless billing pressure, reached a breaking point. She had suicidal thoughts. And while her story has been reported in the media and named in regulatory circles, we have chosen not to name her here. Not out of fear, but out of care. Because this isn't about exposing her, it's about exposing the culture that pushed her to the edge.
They called me bright, called me strong, said welcome to the fight. Here's your 50 files, go along. I said yes, I always said yes, till I was drowning in success. 18 hours, 7 days, no supervision, just a screen that blinks and stays. Toxic environment, that's what I said. But no one listened, just shook their heads. An inexplicable amount of pressure without any adequate guide. 300% of the target, no time left to survive. And still she tried, through the silence, through the ache, through the shame she couldn't hide. No one saw the tremble in her hand when she reached out. No one planned that the weight of 100 deadlines could push a heart to thoughts unkind. But she stayed, even as her soul frayed. She stayed. 50 litigation cases, she bore them alone. All that pressure, all those faces, calling phones. When the truth broke, they only saw the fall. They didn't ask why she built a wall. A system tracks when you leave your desk. Even your bathroom breaks your rest. Why didn't the tribunal ask for this? Why didn't they try to understand the abyss? They are lucky she did not follow through with her suicidal thoughts. Another life almost lost in court-tied knots.
She was at her most vulnerable, and they just left her. Their mental health, that's not billable. Who cares? And still she tried through the lies she told just to stay alive. Guilt replaced every sigh, while chargeable hours passed her by. 100 claims she could not file, but no one paused, not for a while. Her silence cost 1,000 cries, while someone said, "Targets justify." I didn't want this ending, I just wanted time to learn, to breathe, to not cross that line. If you're reading this, please know there are hundreds like me in that undertow. Don't wait for a tribunal to say what your heart knew anyway. This wasn't just misconduct. It was a cry unheard, a soul cracked by billable words.
Irama reached out to Irwin Mitchell's head of sports, Thomas Barnard, and hoped for reason, but what they heard instead was chilling. Thomas suggested it was acceptable, even strategic, to use court procedure rules to gain advantage. For Irama, it confirmed what they feared all along, that the rules were being used not as a guide to fairness, but as a weapon, a manipulation of a process that betrayed the spirit of the law and the trust of those who still believed in it.
4 years deep in the litigation zone, self-represented, standing on my own. Irama's case, it's got the core, but they won't let justice through the courtroom door. They don't touch substance, no merit in view. They're just playing the game with the rule book or two. 370 grand in cost, what a feat for a 65K claim. That's elite, but not in a good way. It's a trick, not a treat. They beat the drum of delay with procedural beat. Is this justice or just delay theater? While fairness dies on a court form heater. Oh, Thomas Barnard, head of sports, selling trust and deals in a legal court. But then his firm fought Rush's own team. Now that's a twist in the football dream.
It's not uncommon, he said one day, to use procedure in a strategic way.
A moment in litigation we'll always remember. Thomas Barnard, head of sport, helping athletes sure until court. When the scaffolding shakes and the bills climb high, who's backing Rush and who's walking by? They ignore the facts, the evidence clear, but court gets steered when lawyers appear.
They say it's just litigation, a normal ploy.
But I'm not a millionaire, I'm not a toy. They weaponize process like it's wartime drills, while I count damage and mounting bills. Justice ain't a loophole, it's meant to be fair, but no one's playing midfield here, they're just not there. And then there's Burrell, adding her part, another tactic played like legal art. But the Bar Council said it plain with might, public trust in justice is not alright.
Only a quarter believe the system's fair, while law firms juggle with the court's own air. Justice organization ringing the bell,
Rule of law under threat, and it's easy to tell. Oh, Thomas Barnard, head of sport, cool title, sir, but here's the report. While Ian Rush builds grassroots pride, your firm's on the opposite side.
use procedure, you said no shame, but how does that build the beautiful game?
Contracts one day, courtrooms the next, kinda makes a fan feel legally vexed. Thomas Bard, head of sport, helping clients, we hope they're in port. Because if football's about fair and just, then tactics like this just break that trust. We're taking this fight where justice stands tall, and to Strasbourg to challenge it all. Not just for Rush or for Irama's name, but for every litigant trapped in this game. Thomas Bard, the courtroom
courtroom's flair, but our Amos call echoes everywhere. Not just sport, this is legal reform, where fairness and justice weather the storm. Head of sport, but what's the score if legends like Rush are shown the door? S-Ray 8, are you keeping the score? Time to restore what courts are for.
7 days before a pivotal court date, Julie Hunter of Stevenson's, our solicitors, sent Irama a bill to pay over £68,000, but no counsel's opinion in sight. Julie Hunter did not act on our instructions to get time for counsel to complete the weighted advice. We just got courtroom silence when she did not appear.
We were 7 days out from a courtroom date, feeling heavy, feeling pressure, but not irate, till Julie Hunter drops a line with a "Hey, just so you know, you owe me 68 grand before I go."
68, say what?
No counsel advice, say what? We said, "Whoa there, Julie, hold your legal fire. We need that counsel note before you even inquire." She said, still waiting, shrug, gave us a stare, but still planned to show. How's that fair? We said, don't go in blind, don't step on that stage without a barrister's brain on the legal page. Next thing, boom, she's gone like a breeze, vanished, poof, no emails, no please. Ghosted, like she never was there, like we dreamed her up in a legal nightmare. Ghosted, not a call, not a ping, not a sorry I'm out, not a single thing. Seriously, no court update, nada. We paid close to £100,000 for support. Julie, where did you go? 6 weeks later, who walks through the mist? Erwin Mitchell with a legal twist. Hey, you missed your Peter R. slot. Judge Bowker ruled, like it or not. Surprise! You lost by default because your solicitor pulled a vault. No heads up, no forms, no grace. You just got ghosted out of your case. We gave you our trust, we gave you fees, we gave you instructions. What else did you need? Oh, please. You left us cold, you left us exposed, while the other side cheered and the courtroom closed. Ghosted by a firm that should have stood tall. Ghosted, but still on the court record disrespectful, said H.A.J. Bowser, and the PTR went down. Felt like our rep skipped town in a lawyer's gown. There, Ian, we paid almost $100 grand for a disappearing act.
Three years had passed since the first challenge began. 3 years of letters, lawyers, deflection, and delay. And now, finally, year 4. Court. London County Court. Judge H.H. Botcher presiding. It was a pre-trial review, a moment meant to bring clarity, structure, maybe even a glimpse of justice. But for Irama and Ian Rush, it felt less like a breakthrough and more like another layer in a system that never quite wanted to listen. Our solicitor, Julie Hunter of Stevenson's, did not show up.
On the record, still on the record. What time, what fee, what file, what reckoning?
When a judge says it helps cover bases, you pause. Whose bases? Which faces? Whose side gets the graces? The claimant's solicitor gone, just vanished. Julie Hunter of Stevenson's, almost $100 grand, and we're famished for guidance, direction, protection. Rejected, still on the record, but the courtroom's disconnected.
The solicitors are still on the record. They should technically be here. It is professionally discourteous.
She emailed us 19 Jan saying, I intend to come off. But that's not formal, that's not lawful, she's not off. Not until the court signs off, no order was made, no proper relay. She stayed in name and form and still led us astray.
The reality is that I consider the only appropriate course in this instance is to strike out the case.
Strike it out, strike it out. Even though we weren't there, even though they weren't there, even though the judge declared the claimant or his representative should be in attendance. But who was responsible to send guidance? Who failed that duty by legal reliance? Julie Hunter, still on the books, didn't tell us the time, didn't send us the looks. No documents listed, no date to pay the trial fee. Just silence. And the hammer fell violently. Had a little bit of trouble trying to work out what the issues might be. We haven't heard from them. We didn't receive a copy of that application. So if defense was left in the dark, how was IRAMA supposed to spark the right moves, the right time, the right track? When your lawyer ghosts you, there's no way back.
It's definitely in the defendant's interest for this claim not to go ahead.
Not justice, not fair, not even close to balanced air. Justice ain't about what one side prefers, it's about the law and how it confers a right to speak, to plead, to not be struck down by silence or greed. If the system knows there's vulnerability, if it says it checks but denies us visibility, then it's not justice, it's a wall, it's a curtain fall, it's a system protecting its own and leaving us alone. Still on the record, still on the record, still unheard. Still unheard.
Next came the hearing before His Honor Judge Saunders, a chance, perhaps, for the facts to breathe. But then came Darren Malone Irwin, Mitchell's cost draftsman. Not a barrister, and not even a solicitor. His presence raised eyebrows, his arguments even more. For IRAMA, it felt like the rules were bending again.
No appearance by or on behalf of IRAMA. That's how the record reads. I was in New York, but this is what justice breeds. Mr. Malone appeared on behalf of Mark. Yeah, it's dark. But Malone ain't counsel, he's not allowed. He's a cost draftsman, he has no right to talk out loud.
Not counsel, not authorized, no right of audience, still he tried.
The judge asked, crystal clear, do you have rights of audience before a circuit judge?
Malone paused, you could feel the fear. Clears his throat,
Say that again, sorry.
like the question's too tough.
Do you have rights of audience before a circuit judge?
On this matter, I believe it's in the county court. So would it not be governed by the Legal Services Act?
Legal Services Act, a deflection at best. Judge Saunders replies with less and less zest.
I am not so sure. But then it gets real cozy. It's not a court, it's like a cocktail party. Slowly, well played, well done. You obviously know probably more than me about costs. That is a very good way of putting it. I might even use that. That is the sort of language we want.
It was from Recorder Berkeley, it stuck with me to this day. Your honor.
They bond, they smile, they laugh at the bar, while Perry's rights are left to Fari. They joke, they toast, they trade their lines, while the party left behind's being fine.
While the court indulged a joke, justice was being denied. I was in New York, the judge acknowledged it. He said he did not get the notice until 2 days ago. But then he contradicted himself, ignored what's written. He has not asked that the matter be heard remotely. But that's not true. That's not true. It
was in the application, right in view. Arama did request a remote hearing. It was written, Malone knew. He said nothing, he sat there maybe grinning. He can apply for a remote hearing by MS Teams or something like that. But no adjournment, no delay, no justice heard on that day. Ama's rights were overruled by oversight and by silence. A judge unsure of the law, a cost draftsman allowed to speak unchecked, and a party left unheard, and asked to pay just under 200,000 British pounds.
8 hearings, 8 judges. For Arama and Ian Rush, it wasn't just a legal maze. Each hearing promised a moment of reckoning, but somehow the case kept slipping sideways. These next songs highlight the multiple court hearings in question, if the courts have even read the documents submitted by Arama and Ian Rush.
From the musical Rush to Justy, the people's case. A relentless march through the courts, 8 judges, $500,000 in cost, and still no hearing on the court issue, unpaid rent. Judges Bowker, Stewart, Sewell, Saunders, Bourne, Samuels, Labaz, and Judge Greenwood.
4 years gone, not a word heard. Rent unpaid, not a ruling stirred. 8 robes in line, but none engaged. Just a paper war and a cost rampage. The overriding objective, that sacred creed. They quote it, then forget our need. HHJ Boher first in frame. PTR hearing, but not our name. Favored the other side, didn't blink. The overriding objective, didn't even think. HHJ Stewart, a hopeful turn. Out of time appeal, yes we earned, but the substance, still no spark. Just more delay in legal dark. AJ Sewell stood with care, said justice matters, we must be fair. Ordered Bower's transcript, said he'd wait, but December's date was a deferral of fate. 1 rope, 2 ropes, 3 ropes, law. They cite the law, but miss the call. Overriding goals, never applied. Rent unpaid, but justice denied. HHJ Saunders back in court. Felt like Malone ran the sport. No talk of fairness, no check, no care. Just more silence and a legal glare. HHJ Bourne took the high court helm, but Lavelle steered and seized the realm. She whispered they complained, that sealed the mood, and Bourne tossed our claims with attitude. Did he read our files? Not a chance. No test of merit, no second glance. Lavelle said civil restraint order, and the gavel came down like justice was theater. And we were the clown. Judge Leslie Samuels, cost set aside. We tried, Malone arrived, the court took a slide. Dismissed the matter, their own mistake. Another hearing missed, how much can we take? Judge Lee Bass tried to relist, but still no rent case, still dismissed. The overriding goal, never once said. More courtrooms walked, more faith bled. Judge Greenwood statutory demand, rent unpaid, our legal stand. Lavelle cried cost, 2 certificates bold, and Greenwood nodded, case went cold. I begged, they're tainted, court misled. Malone wrote, spoke, had no right. I said it felt like telling a banker, don't cash that draft, but the court just laughed and shafted the craft. I quoted Hal Borg, doubt, investigate, but Greenwood, no pause, no check, just seal the fate. 8 judges, no one heard the claim. £500,000, and who takes the blame? No trial, no facts, no lease, no rent, just more ink spilled, more money spent.
Overriding, overriding, ignored again. Justice slipped down the drain.
8 judges down and still not begun, and now 3 more courts to come. What a frustration, what a cost. All this law and truth got lost.
We're still here,
Still unpaid,
still unjudged.
but never undone.
Have you even read it?
And with the system.
Break the system, break the system, break the system, break the system. This is the I spent 4 years in this fight, day and night. Pen on the pad made the skeletons tight. Facts in my witness, the
truth in my bones. Every bundle I drop could shatter a throne, but every time I rise and bring my case to the floor, the judge looks blank like, have we met before? My voice is low, but my writing roars. Did you even read it or just open the door? Have you even read it? Did you even see litigant in person fighting legally? I ain't got silk robes, I ain't got a firm, but I learned CPR like it's something I earned. Rules of the game, I memorized them. Still in this court, they marginalize them. They nod to the counsel with ties and suits, while I hold facts in judicial dispute. And the papers I bled on, the bundles I fought, they vanish like ghosts, ain't that a thought? Read it, read what we wrote. Our case is the truth wrapped in every note. Read it, or justice will drown, while privilege and silence keep holding us down. Due to time, the judge has not been able to review. Would counsel for the claimant briefly walk us through? Again. You mean to tell me my bundles, my proof, my sworn testimony, all of it unread, not even scanned, and I'm still expected to make you understand? Why do I write like tomorrow's on trial? Why do I file when the court's in denial? Why does the truth get boxed and stored, while the liars get ushered and never ignored? Read what we wrote. Our case is the truth wrapped in every note. Read it, or justice will drown, while privilege and silence keep holding us down. We need reform, we need it now. This ain't a game and we won't back down. This is to every judge who sat up high, while justice begged with a silent cry. If you can't hear us, if you don't read, then the rule of law starts to concede. But justice ain't a show for robes and gold. It's the truth in ink, it's the facts we hold. So here's the reform, one final score. Rush at 346, this is gold 347, and we demand more. Rush for reform, let it be known. Gold 347, this is justice is throne. AI no payback, write this in code. No more silence on the justice road. Have you even read it? Have you even read it? 'Cause this ain't just law, it's a people's credit.
Justice demands consistency, continuity. One judge who hears your case, follows it, and remembers the facts. But for Arama and Ian Rush, that simple principle was lost. And still, after 4 years, not a single judge had heard the case on its actual merits. Not one. This scene is a reminder that when judges change, memory fades, and justice, too often, slips through the cracks.
We've been to court so many times, it's getting hard to track. New judge every visit, who's on now? Give me that black robe back. 8 and counting, maybe more, we're running out of fingers. The case is hot, but justice cools while every new judge lingers. Tick-tock, switch the seat, shuffle in a brand new phase.
Each one starts at chapter 1.
They never saw the race. Justice ain't a relay, you can't just pass the file. We need one who sticks it out and walks the extra mile. I'm not here for courtroom speed dating. I want one judge who stays relating. Our facts don't morph, the harm don't fade, but every month it's a new legal parade. Woo!
Lawyer Ray, let's try this again.
New judge, we might just win.
Who's up next? Does anyone know where this starts and ends?
Whoa, ho, ho. Judicial continuity.
Where'd it go? Where's it been?
We're rolling dice in justice halls and hoping that we win. One mind, one view, one steady path to see it through. But every turn resets the game. Deja vu in black and blue.
We came with truth, with work and proof, but the court's been caught in a changer booth. We're playing fair, they changed the crew. How can the system still call this true?
I'm not afraid of law or rule. rules, but I won't be played like courtroom fools. The facts stay firm, the harm's been done, so give us one judge, not 31. Judge should continue a treatment that our case is alive, but the justice is dead. It's time for a court that stays, that sees, that doesn't hit reset like it's on repeat. 8 so far and still we wait. Justice delayed can seal your fate. Next hearing. Any bets on who we get?
In law, words matter. Their meaning is supposed to be clear. But in the Halborg case, Judge H.A. Backhouse made a decision that rippled far beyond the courtroom. She reinterpreted a single word. Can a judge really change the meaning of a word without the people's say? Without Parliament?
Word games in chambers, a courtroom to musical battle, so Beressos has got that cries.
I'm in the courtroom and something feels strange. The word chambers just went through a magical change. It meant private yesterday, that was clear. Now it's public, wait, how did that appear?
D-I-C-T-I-O-N-A-R-Y. Words ain't yours to read, define, don't lie.
Judge Backhouse, I respect your robe and roll, but this judgment just dug a semantic hole. You didn't use the literal rule, golden the mischief. You flipped the word like a trick card, real slick shift. No affidavit from the supervisor's soul, no check if he watched or played a role. Just systems and protocols, that's kinda thin. If I quote the act, you wouldn't win.
C-floor chambers, private space. 8 hearings not in a public place. Authority, no evidence traced. Mischief rule, it got erased. B, Backhouse bypassed all debate. E, our rights at stake. Our right of audience needs control. Supervision's more than a form role.
So tell me this, if a judge can twist a word, can I the public do the same? That's absurd. I got no robe, no gavel, no bench, but I got the OE and a common sense wrench.
It's not just legal, it's linguistic war. If judges can rewrite who's keeping score, Parliament makes laws, that's the gig. But redefining words, that's too big.
I saw procedure, not poetic intent. I filled a gap, but now I repent.
So we sing for the public who must understand that justice must rest on the people's command. Words aren't chess piece to shuffle and slide. The anchors of law are national guide. Chambers mean chambers. Don't dilute it with flair. Cause if meaning's up for grabs, is justice still there? Words matter, words stand, words fall when you bend them too far. From the law to the people, that's how strong nations are. So if you change private to public with flair, you better be ready for public repair.
4 years in, one truth became painfully clear. Transcripts matter. More than most people realize, because what's said in court isn't always what ends up on paper. For Arama and Ian Rush, transcripts became the lifeline, the only way to prove what was really said versus what was recorded in the final orders.
No justice without the record. Truth is a human right.
We walked in alone, no chambers, no fee, just faith in the truth and a deep need to see. The judgment was written, clean, sealed tight, but something felt off in the black and white.
We filed for the record, the official scroll, and bam, in our hands was the courtroom soul. It whispered the rhythm, the stops and the starts, and uncovered the silence between the parts.
Not to blame, not to shame, but to understand what was said, who objected, who gave command, and we paired that text with AI precision to trace every word, every quiet decision. No drama, no claim, just patterns that show that justice needs more than just a yes or no. So we turned that truth into focus light, cause the transcript, friends, is a human right.
I'm not a lawyer, but I know the score, played 1,000 games, now I'm fighting one more. They told me to quit, they said don't make a fuss, but when truth's on trial, you fight like Rush. I read that transcript, every line they spoke, and saw through the pressure, the posturing, the smoke. I stood for the kids, the game, the name, and the record backed me. Clear, no shame.
See, when you're alone and your case gets tight, remember this tool, your legal right. Not opinion, not spin, not courtroom spin-offs, just facts on the page with the cover ripped off.
Transcripts,
Truth that you can hold.
transcripts,
Every story told.
transcripts.
For the ones who stand without might, they're your sword, your shield, your spotlight.
So to every person facing the fight, get the record, it's your human right. No more shadows, no courtroom disguise. Let the transcript speak and justice rise.
No verdict is final till the record's known. No justice complete till the seeds are sown. Court transcripts live where the truth takes flight, because truth in the record is a human right.
After 4 years of fighting just to be heard, Irama and Ian Rush faced something new. A civil restraint order, pushed by Irwin Mitchell and argued by their counsel, Jessica Lavelle. On paper, it's meant to stop abuse of process. In practice, it felt like a warning shot. A message telling us to stop fighting, stay quiet, and go away. But Irama had followed the rules, presented evidence, made their case, and now felt like they were being threatened, not because they'd abused the system, but because they dared to stand up to it.
Filed again, this time it's big. A civil restraint like we did a rig. A Rama on trial, our truth under fire. But they forget we don't retire. I played under pressure, I faced a chance, but this a courtroom dance with legal plans. Jessica Lavelle with her poised attack, Alice Court and Kuno right at her back. A civil restraint order to silence, that's the game. Is this justice or just pressure wrapped in name? They say we filed too much, but have they read why? Have they seen the facts they keep letting slide?
They say it's meritless, they say it's abuse, but they skipped our truth and tied in the news.
We won't run, we won't break, not when so much is at stake. They want silence, we speak loud.
We stand upright, we don't bow. Slap by name, nah, we won't declare, but we ask the question, is this fair? Cause if this is law, let's open the floor. How did they miss what we filed before? We brought the facts, we raised the alarm. They brought the order thinking we'd disarm, but we've read the rules, we've done the prep, and AI's mapped every legal misstep. We're not afraid, we've come too far. From sealed orders to every legal scar, the truth walks with us, bold and free. A civil restraint can't silence what the world will see.
You think pressure's new to me? Try 90,000 fans at Anfield. Try fighting for dignity in a room that won't yield. This isn't fear, it's focus.
We won't run, we won't bend. Justice ain't a game you suspend. Try to contain us, we'll break the frame. Cause truth ain't afraid to name the game.
For what's right, and the law don't work if it hides from the light.
we'd break, we just broke through.
Arama is no longer just defending. They're going on the offensive and preparing formal claims of misconduct against Irwin Mitchell and its lawyers. Why? Because the case they pursued aggressively endlessly never had real prospects. And yet, it dragged on, disrupting lives, destroying reputations, and draining justice itself. Now, Irwin Mitchell is lawyering up, this time with Kennedy's solicitors, not to fight for their clients, but to protect their own indemnity insurance. This isn't the end, but it might be the reckoning from the USA and Singapore.
He him the last one. Amazing Cinny Boyle tells it up.
You knew the case had no legs to stand. Still you drag it through court hand in hand. While in London you played your delay game. You scorched our deals and slandered our name. Irwin Mitchell, you knew the score, that our claims were real, but you needed war. No merit, no truth, no prospect at all, yet you filed and fought to make Arama fall. Millions lost across two shores, business broken by English wars. Singapore stalled, USA froze, because of a case you never chose to close. We acknowledge receipt, that's all for now. No view on merits, no furrowed brow. We won't say what the records show, or if your damage is of room to grow. No names, no comment, no address to serve. We won't confirm if Malone had nerve. Our client instructed, that's our stance. If you want a fight, then take your chance. We had projects in play, USA launch, Singapore Ventures top-tier branch, Football Academy's global ground, Royal Mint Legends dreams unbound. But you froze us out with claims so thin, filed court papers you'd never win, wasted years for full spins of sun, while we fought shadows that weighed a ton. Cost of fraud, more than fees, it's broken growth, it's shattered seas. Deals that died from toxic ink, partnerships lost in a legal brink. And now Kennedy's writes like nothing occurred, like the harm was imagined, like business isn't burned. But emails don't erase intent, and silence won't undo what Irwin Mitchell spent. You knew the truth but fought us blind. Now Kennedy shields what's left behind, but inbox defense can't stop the tide, 'cause justice is crossing the great divide. USA's watching, Singapore knows, truth isn't buried where evidence grows. No prospect of success, that's the crime. Now we'll make sure the world sees in time.
When a company falls, the law steps in and liquidators are appointed, not by choice, but by court order. They carry the court's authority, and their job is to find the truth, protect creditors, and bring closure. This next song is called Liquidation and Insolvency Respect. It's about what should have happened. About how legal professionals, above all, owe respect not to power or client but to the process itself. Because when the law starts fighting itself, who's left to protect the truth?
Why fight what you're trained to defend when the filings are clear and the records don't bend? When a liquidator's duty is plain to the end, why challenge the process you once swore to defend? I trained in the code insolvency law, guided by duty, by truth, by the flaw. Yet here I'm asked to write and respond to questions already reviewed and gone.
Hair on the liquidator filed what he found, letters and notes methodically sound. No such agreement was made, he wrote, a firm conclusion in a formal note. Be no such agreement was made at the meeting, your client was not present.
I read Rule 14.44, knew it by heart. The standard of proof, that's where we start. The claim must be clear, the document shown, not built on on hearsay or words alone. Heron asked twice, 3 times, no reply. We've not received the records to justify.
Still we pressed, still we pled, though the paper trail led where the liquidator said. The liquidators have not been provided with any supporting evidence.
I don't act for either side in the fight. I follow the duty, do what is right. Scaffold claims, rental dues, it's all recorded, not shaped by views. The letters were sent
10 John 2018, 27 July 2018, 1/8/2820. Each one clear. Rent was requested, that much is here.
The scaffolding not needed, please remove.
Statements that any record could prove. We wrote in response as the role demands, but now we pause with reports in hand.
Was this our brief to reject and resist, even where the records persist?
We don't allege, we don't accuse, but we're trained to respect the process and the rules. And what we faced, page after page, was a court-appointed voice, not a personal stage.
Why fight what you're trained to defend when the filings are clear and the records don't bend? When a liquidator speaks by court's own trust, the role of the lawyer is careful, not just. Why fight what you're trained to defend when the process stands clear
and the facts don't pretend?
4 years, nearly a dozen judges, and still the case hasn't been heard, not once. So this next number says it best through dance, through movement, and through theater. It's called Musical Chairs, because that's exactly what it felt like, and the music. It just keeps playing.
One judge in, one judge out, one right short, one spins doubt. Round and round the gavel goes, where it lands nobody knows. We started off with number 1. Sharp as steel got the hearing done, but just as the facts were heating up, he passed the file like a coffee cup. Judge number 2 had a different tone. Is this case yours or should I postpone? Then came a ruling, then came delay, then they said, sorry, I can't stay. It's musical chairs in a courtroom game, each one different but the rules stay the same. We bring our truth, they bring their stare, but blink and you'll miss who's sitting in the chair. Judge number 3, read the file overnight, asked the right questions, gave us a fright, but before the order could hit the floor, whoosh, case adjourned, here comes number 4. Number 5 liked structure and flair. Number 6 said, let's keep it fair. 7 was firm but never cruel. 8 said, let's all follow the rule. I've printed this case bundle 8 times through. I've changed the judge name on each review. One likes tabs, one wants spine-bound flair. One said double-sided, don't you dare. Musical chairs, the gown and the robe, justice spinning on a bureaucratic globe. We plead, we file, we cite, we care, but the judge keeps changing the judicial chair. We respect the bench, the robes, the rules, but 8 different captains with 8 different tools. What if the truth gets lost in the dance? What if consistency never gets a chance? We don't seek drama, delay, or stares. We just want truth, not musical chairs. Call it what you like, it's all the same, but justice deserves more than a guessing game. Next up, judge number 9.
Legal disclaimer, presented by Justice for Sport Media LLC, New York, USA. This production is based on real events, documents, and testimony drawn from court filings, hearings, public records, and lawful communications. It is created for public interest, education, and protected journalistic expression. All names, entities, and contributors, whether individuals, firms, or whistleblowers, acted lawfully in providing information. Their input is used with care, accuracy, and in accordance with legal rights under the First Amendment, New York Civil Rights Law Section 76A, and federal state whistleblower protections. This production is protected by U.S. and New York anti-S, L, A, P, PLO laws, and is not intended to defame but to inform and comment on matters of public concern. Any dramatizations or opinions are clearly presented as such. Responsibility for all content rests solely with Justice for Sport Media, LLC. 2025 Justice for Sport Media, LLC. All rights reserved.